Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. Before we start, I need to say I am incredibly excited for a lot of things. I have a lot of energy right now, so if I am talking too fast at any point, I do apologize. I will try to attempt to talk at a normaler talking speed, or rather how I normally end up talking. I realized yesterday, over the past 24 hours, I'm probably going to undertake around 3 new business ventures. A lot is going to be happening. A lot is going to be taking place. Pretty much, I found other ways to make more money, and it's incredibly exciting. So I will try to contain my fast talking and or energy. And on top of that, the cryptocurrency market, for those of you who don't know, is just really kind of out there right now. The energy is actually very palpable. I had trouble sleeping. And anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into it. It says, bullish sentiment is already flowing back into Bitcoin's markets. So far in 2020, Bitcoin has made 13%, and more is yet to come as a major buy signal is flashing green. From an intraday low of 7,700, Bitcoin has climbed an impressive 7% to top out 8,250 during Asian trading today. Since then, it has pulled back marginally, but remains in the bullish territory above the psychological 8,000 US dollar barrier. There's a little pretty chart right there. The geopolitical dust is starting to settle in the Middle East, but Bitcoin has held onto its gains so far as bullish momentum has started to build. Long-term signals such as the 50-day moving average have started to turn positive by turning upwards for the first time since September. On the weekly chart, the 50 and 200-week moving average are still in a strong uptrend, so the long-term picture is still positive. For some reason, and I'm not sure if it was the actual start of this year, if it was simply people having a very different mindset as we moved into a new decade, even the people who were bearish, air quotes, before on Bitcoin's price on the cryptocurrency market have completely flipped. For some reason, everyone is thinking that this year is going to work out very well. The volatility has entered back into the cryptocurrency market, and it's a very good sign. I think a lot of people may have gotten into the cryptocurrency space around the time, let's say 2018, maybe even 2019. I forgot that we're in 2020. That's completely insane. And I think a lot of people may only know a Bitcoin price, a cryptocurrency world where prices are relatively trending sideways and or going down over the course of a year-long period. The way that cryptocurrency markets used to react, well, we had constant fluctuations in price. Nearly every single day was an up and a down. They're not as strong as they used to be. We used to have really strong fluctuations, 13% up, 24% down, 18% up. It was really insane every single day, but this is why the cryptocurrency market, trading-wise, had become incredibly popular, because people realized that they could make an enormous amount of money off of these swing trades, because they were almost predictable, as far as, like, you knew the next day it was going to go up, you knew the next day it was going to go down. It was always these massive fluctuations. We didn't see a lot of that in 2018 and 2019, simply because, I mean, it could be a million factors. We made so many videos and had so many discussions as to why the cryptocurrency market wasn't moving, why it was trending sideways, why it was doing this, why when we did have a day where the price would go up by 2 or 3%, people were like, oh my gosh, the bulls are back, because there was any type of movement in the market. What we're seeing is very normal, and it's actually a very good signal for all of us, because it shows that there's a huge hyper increase in interest in trading the cryptocurrency markets once again. It could simply be because of the halving. It could be because of the entire rhetoric that people have been talking about since 2018, that 2020 was going to be the main year when things started to get off the ground once again. Who knows exactly what it is, but the cryptocurrency markets are reacting very positively, and we're seeing such crazy fluctuations that it's causing the trading volumes of all of the cryptocurrencies to start to peak back up, because trading volumes going up means that more people are in the market. More people going into the market means that prices are moving up and down. Traders are making really good profits. The more money that people are making off of the trade swings from the cryptocurrency market, the more pretty much that they end up bragging to other people of how much money that they made. When you brag to other people that you'd made 10K, other people also go, I also want to make 10K. More people start buying Bitcoin to be able to do the trades. You kind of see where the flow is going. Tying almost directly into this as well, U.S. banking giant JP Morgan believes Bitcoin traders are anxiously waiting for Monday's CME's Bitcoin options debut. For those of you who are not 1000% aware of why JP Morgan is significant in this article, it's because between 2014 to late 2017, I want to say, JP Morgan Chase did everything that they possibly could in their power, especially with their, I think he's a CEO. His name is Jamie Dimon. He's the head of JP Morgan. Made sure to trash Bitcoin as much as possible. Bitcoin is useless. Blockchain before Bitcoin. You can Google that. That was a real term an entire year. It was very frustrating. Blockchain before Bitcoin. Pretty much talking about Bitcoin was useless. It had no features. It had no uses. Why is anyone using it? It's a scam. Everything in the book. And then at the end, I believe, of 2017, JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon was at a conference on a stage or something like that. And he mentioned that one of his offspring also owned Bitcoin, or he didn't really hate Bitcoin. And it was also earlier that year as well, he had announced that anyone in JP Morgan who was using Bitcoin, so any of his employees who were caught trading cryptocurrencies, even on their own private time, would be fired. And then a couple months later, he's like, oh, it's not that bad. So the fact that JP Morgan is also actively in the cryptocurrency space, we may not know exactly if they're buying Bitcoin. I assume they are. We may not know if they are actively into and or have created a subsidiary that is mining Bitcoin. I assume that they also have that, but we know that for some reason they're doing tons of research into the topic, and this is why they're very significant, because for the course of 3-4 years they hated it, and now for some reason they have their nose deep in it. When Bakkt announced its Bitcoin futures contracts last year, they were seen as highly anticipated in the build-up since its launch day in September. What actually happened was another bearish day on crypto markets as Bitcoin retreated further. I remember the amount of energy that we had around the New York Stock Exchange releasing their own Bitcoin futures was immense. So many people thought that it would be a clear bullish signal, sentiment, market day, so-and-so, yada, 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 let's make some money. For some reason that day, Bitcoin's price ended up going down. And this is also subsequently around the same exact time when we started having a lot of conversations and discussions and a lot of articles that were popping up. I'm talking way too fast. Things that were popping up that were discussing that Bitcoin's price was probably being manipulated by what we call whales. Whales being people who hold immense amount of cryptocurrencies, simply because the timing, the factors, and the actual energy that we had beforehand as this was starting simply didn't match when the New York Stock Exchange once again announced that they were going to be launching their futures. Because what we had before in the past is we had the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and a couple of other, I think the CBOE had launched their futures and the prices that skyrocketed. Other people had mentioned that they were going to be launching their own so-and-so. Prices also went insane, but when one of the largest financial institutions in the world launched theirs, prices retreated, which logically didn't make a lot of sense. However, it says institutional products are slowly building and need time to gain gather momentum. 4 months later, and Bakkt futures are showing healthy volumes and growing open interest. We also had that information it had to be about 2 months ago. After their initial launch, everyone was like, oh, yeah, well, that's Bakkt for you. And all the people who were like, I told you it was going to go down, they got to raise their flag and show everyone that they were correct for about a couple of weeks, and then we started getting indications that for some reason Bakkt's volumes were skyrocketing. I don't think we ever really came to a conclusion as to why. The people from the New York Stock Exchange said that it was because of growing interest, growing volume, growing so-and-so, yada, yada, yada. Who knows exactly what it was, but the volumes on the New York Stock Exchange run Bakkt had started to completely skyrocket a couple of weeks after they had initially launched their platform. It says next week, we'll see the launch of another institutional Bitcoin product from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. That's the CME. They will be listing Bitcoin options. Options differ slightly from futures in that the options contract holder is obligated. The futures contract holder is obligated to sell a futures contract on the expiration date, whereas with options, there is no obligation to sell the contract on the expiration date. According to Bloomberg, U.S. institutional banking giant JP Morgan Chase said the launch is highly anticipated given the dominance of the CME global derivatives marketplace in trading Bitcoin futures on regulated exchanges. One of the directors for JP Morgan said, there has been a steep increase in the activity of the underlying CME futures contract. This unusually strong activity over the past few days likely reflects the high anticipation among market participants of the option contract. You can tell that I don't know if you can feel it. I can feel my energy. And yeah. I also just for some reason had tea with caffeine, and I'm realizing that was probably a mistake. I should have waited until after the video. I can feel my lips moving very rapidly. At the moment, for those of you who don't know, the cryptocurrency markets prices are up. At least at the time of me making this video, prices have gone up. A lot of people are speculating. A lot of articles are out there trying to figure out why the market's prices are up. This was one of the very few that I could find. The other ones were kind of just mimicking each other. It has to deal with the political situations that have been happening the last 11 days as the year has just started. This is also the other thing that was popping up as far as the other Bitcoin options that are going to be launched, and therefore this may also be pushing bullish sentiment into the market, also tying into the halving, also tying into just the accumulation news that we've been getting the last couple of days. I think about 2 or 3 videos ago, we had news, what was it? I think almost 12 million Bitcoin have not moved since, I think, 2017. Like, people have bought them, put them into a wallet, and they have not moved since, even as Bitcoin's price was fluctuating 20,000, 17,000, blah, 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 3,000, 6,000, 14,000. The coins did not move. I know my coins did not move. I know none of my friends were selling as well. We have many discussions as to exactly not when to sell, but if we're going to sell. And we've all come to the general conclusion 50,000 for some of my friends is the bare minimum that they would even think of selling off a portion of what they have. But even then, we also come to the discussion as well that, once again, not financial advice, this is me and my friends talking amongst ourselves. We expect at some point a huge, massive price increase, and some of my friends plan on selling to be able to potentially buy back in later should prices go back down after the huge, massive spike. There's a lot of energy in the cryptocurrency markets, and I no longer fully believe that the 2020 halving is going to be a major catalyst of the prices going up. I think it's going to play a huge role in us seeing at least a $10,000 Bitcoin again. But there's something, it's really palpable. Like, you can feel it in the air when it comes to the cryptocurrency market, the amount of energy that's back in it. Just even seeing prices fluctuating up and down, it may not mean a lot to other people, but it's a really strong indication that there are billions of dollars per day around the world who are okay with trading these cryptocurrencies back and forth. It's nice to see. And without further ado, let us move on. Next up, here's a really interesting one. Venezuela's monthly minimum wage was just slashed from $6 to $2 last week after its national currency, the Bolivar, crashed once again. I repeat, their monthly minimum wage went from $6 a month to $2 a month. Some say the recent government handouts of the Petro, the state-issued cryptocurrency the government once claimed is backed by oil, or petrol, as it's called, the Petro, are to blame. Others believe the Petro is to be a good omen for the country's beleaguered economy. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, a quick run through. About a year and a half ago, the Venezuela was the first country to come forward and say that they were going to be creating their own digital currency. It is not a cryptocurrency because it is not open source or permissionless. It is controlled by the central bank government, whatever name you kind of want to call it. A couple of months ago as well, I want to say a good 9 months ago, the government had announced that if you wanted a passport, if you wanted to take, I think, a train, if you wanted to take a plane and something else, you had to pay in the Petro. This is the news that we had. This is the news that we received. I myself am not in Venezuela, so I cannot 1000% confirm, but it was on multiple news sources. The other part was, as no one was using it, apparently people were finding ways to circumvent it. This is when the government had announced that if you wanted to do remittances and if you wanted to send any money into Venezuela, the only ways to do so were through the Bolivar, their paper money, the Petro, their digital coin, or through Bitcoin and Litecoin. That was also a huge moment for the entire cryptocurrency space, at least for me, because the market didn't really react. The other part was, we had news about a month ago that the Venezuelan government, in an effort to try and get people in their country to actually use their digital currency because no one was using it, they decided to airdrop it on the country. Apparently everyone, I think if you signed up in a certain way on a certain website, therefore you would get it. But apparently things didn't work out. It says, from the 18th of December to the 27th of December last year, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro dispersed around $30 worth of the petro to each of the 3 million citizens that depend on the state, such as the retired, public service workers, and military personnel. If the bolivar were to stay at its current price, an unlikely bet, that's more than a year's salary. So keep that in mind once again. When we got the news, I forgot what the equivalent was. I think it was like 0.2 of each petro that every single person got. And we were reading it was like, okay, that's not really a lot. But then you realize that their monthly minimum wage was $6. So imagine getting half your yearly salary all in one go. You'd be pretty gosh darn happy. Experts say that the airdrop, known as the Petro Aguinaldo, is partially to blame for the Bolivar's crash, but differ in their reasoning. Jose Alvarez, president of the National Cryptocurrency Association, told Decrypt that the government made it complicated to use the cryptocurrency. Petros weren't deposited into people's crypto wallets, but rather granted through the centralized mechanism of the homeland system, which made the transactional use of the token difficult. The long and short of it is, without having to read through the entire article, I'm pretty sure within the next couple of days we are going to get some type of news will hit us in the face about another spike in volume of people buying Bitcoin within Venezuela. Remember, we were discussing, or we even talking about how there are tons of people within Venezuela. I think it's illegal, or they made it illegal, but I'm pretty sure we had news before that there are tons of people within Venezuela who have bought a cryptocurrency Bitcoin mining machine. Whether it be they're mining Dash or whether they're mining Bitcoin, doesn't really matter. And they're getting, like, obviously fragments of it, as they don't have tons and tons of machines. But those fragments that they're actually getting, there was some person who mentioned before, he said that this was actually the way that he was feeding his family very comfortably, because their monthly minimum wage was $6. So imagine, even if over the course of a month, if you made $4 to $5 worth of Bitcoin, that's literally your entire monthly minimum wage. So you're feeding your family, I mean, not quite good, but you understand what I'm trying to say. This saga, I don't think it will end anytime soon. I think the only way to really nip it in the bud is for the government to really be like, hey, let's just only start using Bitcoin. This seems the logical way that things should go. We all know that they're not going to go that way. Because as much as I've read through history, as much as you've heard history in class, world leaders never do what's right. Ever. No matter who you are, no matter who you support, when you look back at history, things never go the way that they should have gone. It would be incredibly easy for the Venezuelan government to simply go, we messed up over the last 3 years. We have 1,000,000% hyperinflation. Let's start adopting a decentralized cryptocurrency. But once again, people like to retain and hold power, even at the demise of their citizens. Before we get too deep into that topic, let's move on. Next up, blockchain-based smart contract protocol EOSIO, otherwise known as EOS, announced an update of its version 2.0, which was released last year, according to the latest blog post. EOSIO version 2.0 release has been updated to a more stable version with security, stability, and other miscellaneous fixes. The release notes on GitHub stated, and I do quoteth, these protocol upgrades necessitate a change to the state database structure, which requires a Nodios upgrade process that involves more steps than in the case of most minor release upgrades, end quote. These are essentially 3 new WASM runtimes available in the 2.0 version. EOS's virtual machine interpreter, EOS virtual machine just-in-time compiler, or JIT, an EOS virtual machine optimized compiler. EOS claims that the low latency interpreter, dubbed EOS virtual machine interpreter, will enable future support for smart contract debuggers with a low latency single pass compiler. Without reading through all of these words, EOS has another update, or released updates for their last update. We have not had EOS news in eons. It's been a very long time since we had any news about EOS upgrading anything, EOS doing EOS-y things. And I think it was just yesterday or the day before we had information about EOS having their beta launch for their voice social media platform. I assume we're going to probably see the floodgates opened once again from the people from EOS as far as more news, updates about the platform. There's actually more news as well as we go through the actual video. But it's nice to hear, and I mean the first one was Omise Go. It was nice to hear anything from them because they hadn't released any news in a very long time, but it's nice to hear from some cryptocurrency projects that we haven't heard from, who have simply gone into the shadows over the last couple of months, year. Here's the actual blog post right here. It says, introducing EOSIO 2, enhancing performance, improving security, and new developer tools. Let us move on. So it's time for that this news was everywhere news. Troubled crypto exchange Robinhood has announced it is shutting down, but just temporarily, it seems. In a shutdown notice on the website on Friday, the firm stated, Robinhood Exchange is shutting down and auditing all account balances from the 10th of January to the 9th of February in 2020. It will be reopened on the 10th of February 2020. All Robinhood users can then retrieve their funds accordingly. Please do not make any deposits. It may result in permanent loss. This is more of a, if you have money on there, I hope you can still get it off. I hope that they reappear, and I hope that on the 10th of February that they actually did complete an audit and you can get your money back. If you are using Robinhood, I think I saw some people mention it in the comment section before that they used it, or rather it was an okay platform. I hope your money is off there, and you may want to think for the future if you want to put it back on there. It says the message is somewhat unclear if the platform will be reopened for trading or just for the retrieval of funds. The firm has largely been silent in the last 8 months, with rumors circulating it may be or may have gone bankrupt or run off with user funds in an exit scam, quote unquote. Founder Popo Chen responded in a blog post in May 2019 saying that this was not the case, though the firm had problems. He claimed a legal issue within the firm had forced him out briefly soon after Robinhood. I always want to say Coinbase or like Robinhood whenever I see these words together. Robinhood also had to be suspended and staff let go, he said. The exchange, he said, was functional and not affected. In July, he said the future plan of the company is not final yet. Shareholders are under positive negotiation, and we may reach a final solution aiming before the end of July. This was everywhere on many different cryptocurrency exchanges, websites. The main thing was, depending on where you got your news from and where you were looking for your news, a lot of them are claiming, a lot of websites are claiming that Robinhood is going to shut down forever. Bankruptcy rumors, all that other stuff, yada, yada, yada. If you are using Robinhood, if you know somebody else using Robinhood, please get your money off. Tell them to get their money off. And once again, reevaluate for yourself if you would like to have your money on there in the future. I know that a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges can be troublesome, worrisome. We don't really care for these centralized platforms. However, if you do not have a choice, if you are afraid of having your money on a ledger or in your something on your computer, and you do decide to use a centralized exchange, make sure that they are trusted, huge, robust, FDIC insured, all that good stuff, so that should something go wrong and you get your money back. The fact that they pretty much had to say it may result in permanent loss, you never want to hear those words, because heaven forbid, should the cryptocurrency market skyrocket and you have $35,000 on a website that you have no access to ever again, you are going to be very, very upset. So please always know where your money is and make sure that you have a contingency plan so that you can get your money off very fast. And to kind of finish things off, it says Ethereum, TRON, and EOS mainnets have continued to lead the Decentralized app, or DApp space. In the December 2019 edition of DApp Review, they said at present, these three major public chains have accounted for more than 98.65% share of the total transaction volume of the DApp market, forming the big three in the DApp space. Here's an actual chart right here. The top 5 DApp markets in the cryptocurrency space are Ethereum, TRON, EOS, IOST, and Steam. Steam was not one that I was actually expecting. Ethereum apparently has 1.82 million active users. TRON has 989,000, that's a shock, users. And EOS has 729,000 active users on their DApp market. Ethereum still remains the king with a total of 2,146. Oh my gosh, dApps under its hood with 1,223 number of active dApps, 668 new ones, a total of $12 billion US. Furthermore, the network has attracted 1.82 million dollars? No, active users in 2019, not dollars. TRON stood second we went over the numbers already. However, categorizing in terms of users on the platform, Game dApps had the highest figure and it was dominated by 43%. Despite a good number of users, its transaction volume was, however, lower as compared to other categories. As mentioned in the previous report, over 90% of all the on-chain volume for Ethereum dApp base comes from DeFi or decentralized finance-related applications. This is the discussion that we had before. As far as a lot of people, it appears the way that we're seeing things evolving is that TRON has become or is poised to continue to be or become a major gaming platform within the cryptocurrency space. So we see at the moment. Ethereum is not so much becoming a gaming platform as much as it is trying to be, is now, and is going to try and continue to be a decentralized finance platform where people create apps, dApps, decentralized, whatever you kind of want to call them, that deal with a decentralized finance. I'm not sure exactly what's being made or created. I assume there are at least 50 companies around the world who are trying to create apps, dApps, whatever for this exact marketplace, but a lot of the attention has been to that. When people are creating these things similar to EOS, you have to lock up your Ethereum and to be able to enter the space. I can't remember the exact term for it right now, and this leads people to believe that if this continues, there will be a huge amount of Ethereum that will be locked up in DeFi, decentralized applications, as well as other people who are locking up their coins as Ethereum moves to a proof of stake mechanism where people also have to then hold, buy, lock up their coins. So therefore, there would be a decreased amount of Ethereum flowing around because of the amount of staking and the amount of dApps, DeFi dApps floating around. Kind of nice to see these numbers. I like when we can actually get numbers like this to be able to say, this is what's happening with this. You all know TRON may not be my best friend. However, I mentioned many other times before, if you can do it, I will tip my hat to you. The fact that it's TRON and EOS behind Ethereum, good. Keep it going. There are many other platforms who mentioned before and other people who mentioned to me that their coins were going to beat Ethereum, so-and-so Ethereum. At least TRON is in the second place. I think, ooh, do I dare say this out loud? I think TRON could be successful. I have my own ideas as to what I think about TRON. However, numbers don't lie. I will kind of put it that way. Before I praise them too much, let's move on. I'm just joking. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Professor, whoa. Okay. Whoa. I fake tried to clear my throat, and then I actually had to clear my throat, and it messed me up. Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Nostromo, Mr. Pickles, John Sarson, The Animal Reader, A Bibliophobia, Barebones Mining, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Mohair Maroney, shouldn't have done it before. Mohair Maroney, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Niels, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Mill, Wheezy, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Crypto Beer Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Test Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day, yes, to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, ARF Medic 17, Bake Me a Cake, and Tigara Machonisa. Thank you all very, very much for your support. At the moment, for those of you not looking at the screen, Bitcoin is currently once again above 8,000 US dollars. It is sitting at 8,027 US dollars. Is up 2.99% over the past 24 hours. You may notice something looking at the screen. Bcash is currently up by almost 11%. BSV is currently up by almost 37%. Where's the other part? Right here. I'm only going to get to it. Almost there. Bitcoin Gold is also up by 20%. I was having a discussion with someone else who was in the cryptocurrency space, and we were discussing many things over the last couple of days, and we were discussing why a lot of these coins, forks of Bitcoin, are doing very well, or why the prices are increasing. The conclusion that we came down to, now this is part speculation, and this is part the truth. We know, based off of the news that we've gotten before, that Bcash is not being used, and neither is BSV. We know that the transaction volume from Bitcoin Cash is coming exclusively from a couple of addresses who are sending money back and forth between themselves. We know that 99% of all transactions on BSV is coming from a weather app, and we know in our hearts that there are very few people on this planet who are actively using, if at all, Bitcoin Gold ever. What it appears to be is that the cryptocurrency market has a new vigor, a new pep in its step. And as people are looking to get into the cryptocurrency market, this is exactly, remember the discussion that we had about a year ago about the confusion within the cryptocurrency market. Why a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges in major places were either not listing Bcash or delisting Bitcoin SV and have never listed Bitcoin Gold. It's because when people are looking to get into the cryptocurrency space, they look for the word Bitcoin. And when you go into a website and you see that there are 5 different coins, all with the name Bitcoin, you go for the one that is least expensive. Like I said, that's the speculative part, and it mainly has to do with, we know that for a fact that Ethereum is being used, that coins are being locked up in many different platforms, and therefore, long story short, without really trying to sugarcoat it, many other coins that are actually being used on a daily basis are not up as high as Bcash, BSV, or Bitcoin Gold. You cannot, I mean, you can try. You cannot argue with me that they're performing well because they're great coins. It's because no one's using them. So the entire rundown seems to be that as the markets do better, like I said, I've been seeing a lot of people trying to get back into the cryptocurrency markets. If you go into a platform and you see that the word Bitcoin is selling for $8,000, you continue to scroll down looking for a less expensive coin, and you see something called BSV selling for $160. Go, well, that looks like a pretty good price. It still has the name Bitcoin next to it. I don't know what the difference is, so I'm going to put my money into it. Just how things go. And I mean, my analysis or my assumption is supported by the fact that Bitcoin Gold is also up. And I mean, listen, you already know how I feel about the coins. There was something else I had to say. I can't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was at all. Crap, it was something else to do with the channel. Don't remember. All right. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll remember it later. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, great morning, great afternoon, or great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. I think I did pretty well. I think I managed to not be as excited or talk as fast as I think my body was telling me to. Time for me to have breakfast. Thank you all once again. for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.